They are calling Raila the ultimate broker. But anyway, that is what we have on the newspapers today. Welcome to the newspaper review segment. My name is Beatrice Ludi.
Indeed, and my name is George Gishuru, and we go straight to the papers this morning.
Yes.
And the Daily Nation, a very interesting headline, Enter Raila, the coalition king.
It's interesting because on the top page of the Standard as well, that is exactly what we have.
All right, let us go through what they are saying.
Yes.
Politics. 4 of Odinga's allies are in President Ruto's second batch of cabinet nominees. That's why they're saying Enter Raila, the coalition king, from Moi's Corporation, Kibaki's coalition government, Uhuru's handshake to Ruto's broad-based government. The veteran opposition leader has been a man not far away from the center of power, whether through the back door or otherwise, entering into some loose arrangement with the government of the day. And you can read that story on pages 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And it's a story you can read there, and of course pictures of some of the nominees to the various ministries, Oparanya, Wycliffe Oparanya, Cooperatives Ministry, Opiyo Wandayi, Energy and Petroleum, Hassan Joho, Mining and Blue Economy, John Mbadi, National Treasury, Kipchumba Murkomen, Youth Affairs and Sports, Tourism. We have Rebecca Miano, who initially had been nominated to be the next Attorney General, but now seems there is a swap. Trade and Investment, we have Salim Mvurya. Labour, we have Dr. Alfred Mutua. Public Service, the former AG Justin Muturi. And Gender, we have Stella Soi Langat. And of course, those are the nominees now who will again go for the vetting. So we have a return of the 5 M's. Murkomen, Miano, Mvurya, Muturi, and Mutua. Yeah. Now, those are now the new CSs. So, knocked out, 11 failed by Ruto's cabinet acts. So, we have 11 who from now the previous cabinet have not made a comeback. And they are former agriculture CS Mithika Linturi, his information counterpart Eliud Owalo, Gender's Aisha Jumwa, Treasury's Professor Njogona Ndongo. We have former health CS Susan Nahumicha, Public Service Moses Kuria, Youth Affairs Sports Ababu Namwamba, Cooperatives Simon Chelugui, Education Ezekiel Machogu, Florence Bore, formerly with Labour, and East African Community Penina Malonza. But that position is yet to be filled. So we now have 2 positions to be filled in the cabinet. That is Penina Malonza's East African Community docket. We don't know if it will be brought in or maybe the president has decided to merge the services of that ministry to other ministry and the Attorney General. So we wait and see. Right.
Oh, yes.
Then I see still on the front page, don't shoot the messenger. Journalists protests. And yesterday, journalists who usually cover, they were being covered.
Because they were making news.
Indeed. And it's all about the media freedom, which is under siege. And we totally concur with them. Journalists, as they took to the streets yesterday protesting against police brutality and other attacks against local and international media. You can read that story on page 2 and 3. It is covered there. And of course, I'm trying to avoid the other pages about the inclusion of ODM in government. Then I see page 10, changes in the military as senior officers promoted. The changes were made following an advisory to the head of state by the Defense Council, which was chaired by Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi. Still on the same page, 7 in 10 Kenyans. 7 in 10 Kenyans. They still oppose the housing levy. You clearly have not moved on. That's according to a new survey. So most Kenyans still disapprove of the housing levy and additional petroleum taxes introduced by the government last year. A new survey shows about 71% of Kenyans say they do not approve of the housing levy, while 9 in 10 still oppose the increment of taxes on petrol products, both of which were introduced last year despite public backlash. And the study was carried out by the University of Nairobi and research organization Afrobarometer, and also shows that majority of people have lost confidence in the leadership of the nation, with 59% of Kenyans, almost 60% of Kenyans, saying the country is going in the wrong direction.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can read that on page 10. Quickly, when we go to the other pages inside the nation, that is the county news. Mwangaza asks court to stop impeachment plan. Governor wants the court to bar MCAs from carrying out the exercise, arguing it was sponsored by her political detractors. This woman, she has faced a lot, Governor. This should be I think, her fourth battle against impeachment. So you can read that on page 19, what's happening in Meru County. Finance bill, budget cuts deal death blow to the revival of pyrethrum. It's on page 20. And also investigations, county bosses on the spot amid probe on illegal bank accounts on page 20. The DN2 pullout, the property pullout. Consumer is king in Kenya's retail landscape. To attract customers in an increasingly competitive market, retailers are moving away from traditional transactional models towards experiential concepts that engage all five senses. The international scene, Kamala Harris edges out Trump in new poll after Biden's exit. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris, who has garnered wide support to become the Democratic presidential nominee, holds a 2 percentage point lead over Republican nominee Donald Trump, according to latest polls. Read that as well. And then I see debt servicing costs rise by 435 billion on weak shilling. And then sports pages, big stars at Olympic Village, but American basketball idols opt out. You can read that. Battling Shujaa find going tough. Do or die for Kenya as they clash with Samoa from 3 p.m. today. The Kenya Sevens dreams of reaching the medal playoff quarterfinal of the Paris Olympics rugby competition suffered 2 body blows yesterday at the Stade de France. Shujaa succumbing to World Rugby Series champions Argentina 31-12 in a match played at a packed stadium before going down to Australia 21-7. So it's a big one today against Samoa from 3 p.m.
All right.
That's what's being reported in the nation.
All right, and coming to the Standard, of course, it's the same news. Actually, looks like they collaborated on the top page ideas. Ruto hangs on to Raila for survival. Odinga's ODM party's 2 deputy party leaders, its chairman and minority leader, get plum post as President Ruto unveils the second batch of cabinet nominees, with 5 old faces making a comeback and critics hitting out at the head of state for ignoring Gen Z's demands for professionals. This is a story extensively covered on pages 3, 4, 6, 7, and also 8 and 9. And coming to page 4 here is very interesting because we have evidence. We have the tickets of the pictures where it all began. The power brokerage journey started in 2002 with the KANU NDP deal. I see a picture of Raila shaking hands here with the former President Moi. I also see after the 2007 bloodbath, it was time for government of national unity, a handshake. Well, it is a handshake, but now with Uhuru is when it was called a handshake. But then we are seeing that happening with the former President Mwai Kibaki. Then came the 2018 handshake after the disputed 2017 general elections. Once again, as his coalition partners were still haggling on whether to sign a deal with President William Ruto, Raila Odinga here with the president bagged for cabinet positions for his party. And we see here Raila proves yet again why he is ultimate broker of political power. I mean, this is the 4th government he has managed to join despite losing the election. Yesterday, 4 senior members of his party danced their way to cabinet. I mean,
4 regimes. What? 4 regimes.
But aren't we learning our lesson?
Yeah, we are.
Because
all of them politicians, you keep saying all this and this. They are birds of a feather.
Ikifika kiumani,
Yeah.
they will lead
Yes.
it. And then, Raila, the Gen Zs rejected him. They said, we don't want you.
Exactly.
We kwanza hata hatukutaki.
Yeah.
So now he was like, okay,
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
worries.
Yeah. It's so sad.
Let me defend myself. But it would have been so honorable if he just stuck. He said, even if you rejected me, I'm still on your side.
Yeah.
Like, just that gesture. I don't know what could have happened, but
Interests.
maybe he would have lost
Interest.
when it comes to interest.
Yeah.
But it's a very interesting, conversation. This is a story covered on page 4. And what Ruto, of course, said about it is that their opposition leaders' willingness to set aside partisan positions and interests to join a visionary partnership for the radical transformation of Kenya is a historic gesture of their patriotism. So that is what President William Ruto had to say.
Yeah.
But it's almost like going back at his own words, because he said nusu mkate, clearly.
Sahau. Hakuna handshake.
It's never going to happen.
Yes.
What other things did
The
he
deputy,
declare?
the deputy president,
Yeah.
Gachagua, he said he had put traps in at State House to ensure that Raila akikuja hivi ananaswa, akikuja hivi ananaswa. Now see,
Hizi hazikuwa traps.
they were sitting now in the
They
same
were wide
table.
open arms ready to receive him.
Yes.
But of course, joto inaitwa joto ya siasa. Joto ya siasa bado inaendelea. So we'll keep following up on the same. And coming to page 11, I see development hard hit as state reduces spending by 122 billion shillings. So this is interesting. Treasury has prepared new budget to cater for expected revenue shortfalls. This is after Kenyans rejected new tax measures contained in Finance Bill 2024. And I see here the total budget 3.87 trillion from 3.99 trillion. Ordinary revenue target is 3.06 trillion from earlier target of 3.34 trillion. And that's a story you can look at in more details. That is on page 11. Page 10, journalists hold protest against police brutality. This was yesterday. Our very own, even from here, kina Dickens Luvanda tuliwaona kule, kina Alice Diana, they represented us very well. But that's a story on page 10. You can look at that in more details. Page 12, Governor B's name dragged into 1.1 billion shillings overseas education scandal. So witnesses say program continued after new administration took office. 3 parents testified they had each paid more than 1 million shillings for their children. So this is again very, very unfortunate. So I see 1.28 million shillings is the amount 3 parents were each supposed to pay for their children who did not end up traveling abroad. This is a story on page 12. Page 13, bank goes after Tuju's rent in a move he says is an abuse of court. The former CS is also fighting to block receiver managers from his property. At the heart of the case, whether a UK judgment in favor of EADB can be recognized and enforced in Kenya. Story on page 13. And moving on to the sports page, I see here that Kenya Simbas surrender, retreat back to the den. Simbas lost 20-12 to Algeria in the Rugby Africa Cup semis yesterday. The 2024 Rugby Africa Cup is the qualifiers for the 2027 Rugby World Cup. A story on page 40. And I see on page 39, Shujaa off to losing start as rugby kicks off at Olympics. Just 1 day to go. National Sevens team took an early lead before falling to World Sevens champions in Argentina. And Shujaa must finish at least third in their group to stand a chance of making the quarterfinals. That is on page 39. And lastly, page 38, doping scourge overshadows Kenya's Olympic campaign. 100 Kenyan athletes, many long-distance runners, have been sanctioned for drugs offenses since 2017. Kenyans will be hoping to emerge from beneath the shadow of lengthy list of doping scandals. Very, very sad. Brett Clothier here saying one thing that everyone should be aware of is that more testing, more cases will be reported, but that doesn't mean more doping. That is what is coming, but it is the pathway to address this problem once and for all. So we've had So many.
Yeah.
Wow, 100 Kenyan athletes, testing positive when it comes to the doping and the drugs that sometimes they use. Is it to make them run faster? Or?
Yeah, and endure. It's draining.
Yeah.
You use a lot of energy, so nakusaidia. Inapasha misuli.
Inapasha misuli. Oh my. But doesn't it have like after effects or harm to the body?
It will. And also you will be caught.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your career is over.
Man, just like
it's
that.
It's not worth it.
But 100 is a big number.
It's a huge number.
There's a problem.
Shortcut, yeah.
There's a big problem.
There's a problem. Even the coaches that we are having, we are having, the management that is that are managing the athletes is also wanting.
Oh, it's really sad because 100 is a big number.
So that's a huge number.
I mean, we are known for what our athletes do and the great work.
And you see, they soil your name and the reputation of the country.
It's true. The country at large.
Because we have people who are genuine and out of sheer hard work,
and
they have and discipline. They have conquered. Faith Kipyegon, so many of them. So Omanyala as well. So discipline, commitment, sacrifice. You will rise to the top.
That is true.
Business Daily quickly. India Farm targets 18% annual return in JKIA deal. Farm to build second runway and new traveler terminal. Upgrade is a 30-year build, operate, transfer contract. John Mbadi, the tax hike critic, set for Treasury Cabinet Secretary position. I see rural electricity scheme loses up to 56 billion. You can read that inside the Business Daily. And state raises debt target by 164 billion to fill budget hole. Also captured in the Business Daily. And finally, Taifa Leo wanasema Ruto ameza ODM. Rais ateua mwenyekiti, manaibu wawili wa vinara wa chama na kiongozi wa wachache bungeni kama kuwa mawaziri na mawaziri 10 wa awali waliotemwa na rais. Ni katika gazeti la Taifa Leo.
Haya, tumeweza kutamatisha, tuseme tumefika kilele cha uchambuzi wa magazeti. Kwa hivyo wakati kama huu tutachukua mapumziko kidogo, tutazama, tutaibuka ili tuweze kuangazia video ya siku.